Hello everyone, welcome back to another session of Dark Souls PvP and another weapon showcase. This time I'm using Priscilla's Dagger, which you get from cutting off Priscilla's tiny fluffy tail. And aside from the fact that cutting off her tail can be a bit of a pain, using this dagger can be a bit of a pain. I mean, it's a dagger, so it's short, doesn't do much damage, but it has one of the best bleed outs in the game, being 50% of your opponent's total health. So as you saw in the beginning of this fight, I bled him out for 900 damage, which is significant. I mean, it's half of their health. So it's still dangerous. Now, this weapon has a weight of 1 unit because, I mean, it's a dagger, it's light, it's small. It is, however, the longest of the daggers, and it's got a pretty fun moveset. Let's see. Other things about the weapon would include the fact that it has an S scaling in dexterity, meaning it's one of the few in the game with an S scaling. And I mentioned the bleed. Oh, another thing about the bleed actually. It has the lowest bleed buildup in the game, being 20 per hit, which the average is 33 per hit, and even though it's only a difference of 13, it makes a really big difference. I mean, that adds up a lot. So it takes a bit longer to bleed people, but you get the benefit of bleeding them for 50% of their total health in comparison to a third. So it's a trade-off. Overall, it's not too bad. Now, the pros and the cons of this weapon, I would have to say the biggest pro of the weapon would be, of course, that bleed benefit. I mean, 50% of someone's total health is, I mean, that's a good amount. I, as you saw in the beginning of the video, bled someone out for 900 damage. That's a lot. I mean, it takes a while to get there, so you also have the damage that's adding up while you're doing that, plus the 900. So chances are that 900 will be more than what it took to actually get them there, because they're probably going to block a few hits. But it can really turn a fight around, which I believe in this fight I do. This guy starts to heal up on me, and I bleed him out, and it just completely turns it back around in my favor. So it can really matter. It really can make a difference. I mean, we all know that if you get bled out, it makes a huge difference, but with this weapon, it matters even more so. So, yeah. Now, other pros of the weapon, I would have to say would be the extremely lightweight. It's only 1 unit, but of course it's a dagger, so that makes sense. Another pro, as I mentioned earlier, it's the longest of the daggers. Excuse me. It's the longest of the daggers, so you can take advantage of that if you're having a knife fight with someone, which I do a little bit later on in the video. I was barely out of their range, but they were just barely in mine, so it worked out. Now, the cons of the weapon, I would have to say that even though the weapon, I would have to say that even though this weapon has an S scaling in dexterity, the biggest con would be the damage output, because it's a dagger. I mean, it's not meant to hit a lot. It's not meant to hit like a greatsword or a longsword. It's meant to hit like a dagger, and it does. But it's got that S scaling, so you would think it would do more. I mean, I only have 35 dexterity, so for me, it's only hitting around 250. But if I did have 40 dexterity, then it would be hitting around, I think it's 268 is the damage it does at 40 dexterity. So it's really not that much of a difference. And, I mean, it's kind of disappointing in my opinion for a dagger. But it's still pretty fun to use. And right here you can see daggers are very good on people with no poise because every hit stuns. So it works out very well in my favor and not so much in theirs. Now, other cons of the weapon would include, aside from the low damage output, it's got the lowest bleed buildup in the game. So it can really take a while for you to bleed someone. I mean, right there. I was fighting a dragon bro. No increase to his resistances, as far as I could tell. And I didn't bleed him. Dragon bros are usually really easy to bleed out. It's pretty much a guarantee for the most part. But I couldn't bleed him with this thing. And I'm sure if I was using, say, the Morning Star, or the Barbed Straightsword, or a Katana, or Gold Tracer, or whatever, I probably would have bled him out once. but because I'm getting 20 per hit instead of 33 per hit, I didn't bleed him, which, you know, it's not a big deal, but it matters in the long run. So that's that. Now, this weapon overall, it's really, I don't know, it's kind of difficult to use, but you get used to it. I personally noticed that I have a habit of R1 spamming quite a lot with this thing, and it's kind of hard to punish when you're doing it against someone who is not very good with parrying, because it's really fast. I mean, katanas are hard to parry. Daggers are harder to parry, in my opinion, because they're so much faster. But that's just me. I mean, yeah, that's just me. So, overall, good weapon, really fun. I had a great time using it. I ran into a few friends while I was recording this video, and we had a good time. The guy with the bone wheel shield was one of my friends, and it was just a good time. So, fun weapon, definitely worth trying. I personally suggest using this weapon in the offhand and in the main hand, having another bleed weapon like a katana or the barbed straight sword, because that combination can be really dangerous. You can build the bleed with the main weapon and then finish it with Priscilla's dagger and benefit from the 50% while getting faster bleed buildup from the other weapon. So that's just my opinion on it. This is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe and all that stuff, and I'll see you next time.